Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to Centurions Review, the punk rock band of Wargame Review Institutions. This is my painted miniatures collection, part 6, I believe it is. This is Battlefield Evolution. I bought these for my dad. These come pre-painted. I think he put a wash on some of the stuff or something, but other than that, it's pre-painted. I'm going to be getting rid of these because I've decided that for modern conflicts, I'm going to do it all in 20 millimeter. This is closer to 25 or 28 millimeters. So just for space reasons and the fact that I can use 172 models with 20 millimeter stuff or 176 models, I'm going to go to that just to save money and save space. I'm at a real premium for space because I own way too many miniatures, way too many board games, way too many telescopes, way too much scuba diving equipment, so I got to kind of try and keep things small. But anyhow, here's the M1 tanks that come with. Yeah, I mean, they're not bad looking little tanks here. The paint job that came with is okay. Here's a rule book for this. It's really small. This is designed to be a simple game. Yeah, it's really only like 4 pages of rules. If I would have got into this game, I probably would have rewrote the rules for myself, did something custom, but those are probably good enough to get started. What do you guys want to see first, the US or the terrorists? Let's look at the US first. Oh, and here's the cards for the tanks. So it's got all your stats and stuff on there, so that's kind of cool. Let's look at the US. I think these are Marines, if I recall correctly. They have the, yeah, US Marine Corps infantry squads. Looks like I have at least 2 squads here. And as you can see on the bottom of the figure, most of the figures on the bottom, it says what it is, but the problem is the stickers they put on them come off pretty easily. So before I sell these, I'm going to have to glue the stickers back on with some PVA glue or something. Let's move these so you can see them. This one here is a Special Air Service guy, British. I'm not sure how he got in the lot, but he did. Maybe my dad had some sass or something and sold them and forgot about that guy. So these look pretty decent for pre-painted. I think my dad put a wash on them or something, probably like a brown wash or something, but not bad. Here's the Evil Terrorists. Now I think they call them MEA. I'm not sure what MEA stands for. Maybe it says on here. Let's look at the card. MEA Infantry Squad. Does that mean Middle East Arab, or I'm not sure. It looks like there's 3 infantry squads here. These are actually pretty good looking figures. I'll lay them out so you can see them. As you can see, they got the standard infantry weapons and so forth. Lots of AKs. Got 3 guys with, actually, that doesn't really look like an RPG-7. That's something else, but whatever it is, I don't think it's going to be too useful against an M1 tank. Maybe if you hit it in the track and blow a wheel off, you can halt its movement, but against that front armor, nah, side armor, nah. In the back, well, I read a story that a 25mm round went through the grill on the back of an M1 and took out the engine. I don't know if that's true or something, but most main battle tanks, most of the armor's on the front and then on the sides and very little on the rear. But yeah, this type of weapon, really, if you're really lucky, you might be able to temporarily disable an M1, but that's about it. But this is probably more of a cat and mouse game where you're running around the battlefield, chasing around the insurgents and stuff. Obviously, if you go head to head with them with your 2 M1s and your 2 Marine Corps infantry squads, these guys are going to get just annihilated. But yeah, if you play it like a cat and mouse game where these guys are doing like hit and run attacks, then you got a game going. But let me show you the other stuff I have. I just finished applying dull coat to these. I just painted these. This is a little portal. The middle of it was a plastic see-through. I didn't like it, so I painted it. I don't know if my paint job makes it look any better, but it makes me feel better that I painted it. Here's a bunch of beds and chairs that I had painted, 10 years ago, and I just found them after I moved, so I overcoated them. I had gotten them on eBay And the guy sold them paint, and the paint job on them was just utterly horrific. I mean, the paint, my repaint isn't, I mean, it's better, but not that much better. But the real problem is he dipped them in that Army Painter dip. And when you do that, if you can't just touch them up or repaint them. It goes on so thick it will take out the detail if you repaint them. So that's kind of what happened on these. But I mean, this is still pretty cool dungeon furniture, like beds and stuff. I'll have a use for this. All right, and let's go to this section down here. These are Leading Edge Aliens. For Aliens, the board game from Leading Edge Games. I'm going to do some playthroughs of some of the scenarios. I didn't want to do them with the cardboard stand-up, so I painted up the figures, so hopefully I can do them with miniatures. I got the miniatures painted for the Colonial Marines. I think I bought those painted years back, so that's what I'll do. Put a little bit of blue on the front and the back of their head. They look too flat with everything being the same color, so I don't know if that was a good idea or not. Alright, and then here, this is our Reaper Bone, some kind of statue for a graveyard. It's just a stone statue. It's okay. This here, I got this for, I don't know, this with a lot of two other figures for like $1, so I paid like 33 cents for this. It was, I'd say it was 3/4 of the way painted. I just finished this paint job. Not my best work, but it looks alright for a figure I paid 33 cents for. I still got to mount it though. I got a bunch of figures I got to mount, but I think it turned out okay for a cheap figure. Alright, and here's my favorite things in the lot. These are ancient triremes, biremes, quinquiremes. I can't even pronounce that stuff. I have the game Ram Speed for metagaming, and I really like this game. This is a great micro game, and you can get it. It's from I think the late 70s or early 80s. Half Price Books occasionally has them in stock. I don't know if they got a hold of some new old stock and stuff, and they sell them for like $8 when they have them in stock. These old copies, but if you see one, pick it up. It's not a bad micro game. It uses counters, but after I played it, I was like, man, I got to get some miniatures and put them on a blue map and do the whole game with miniatures. So I'm going to make a little tool for measuring hex side turns, because I'm going to use this as the playing board. This blue thing here, I'll use that as the ocean. So I'll have to make a little tool for making hex side movements, since there's no hexes that you just use the measure that you're moving 1/6 of a turn and stuff. But let's take a look at some of these. Got some, let me zoom in if I can. Here's this one, this back part's coming off. Ugh, yuck. I mean, it's a real simple paint job, but they'll do the job. I basically just got blue versus red here. The ones with the blue shields are all on one team. This is still bending here. Yeah, that scares me. That's one team, and the other side's the red, so it's just going to be a blue versus red game. And here's some of the medium-sized ones. Those are kind of cool. They got eyes on the front and stuff. What else do we got here? Here's some more of the blue ones with shields. I used what's the name of that stuff? Games Workshop, or I guess it would be Citadel contrast paint on the brown. I have mixed feelings about that stuff. You can get, in some cases it works real well, in other cases it's just horrible. So you got to use it in the cases where it works well. Like on the oars here and stuff, it worked all right, but I could have got the same effect just by base coating them and putting a dark wash in there and highlighting them. So I guess it saves you a step or something, but it's not worth the $8 they're charging for it, all this hoopla. Like I said, stuff with intricate detail like that it works on, but if you try painting like flat surfaces and stuff, it's just an absolute disaster, and you're going to have to dry brush the living you-know-what out of it to get rid of the pools and stuff. It has all the advantages of a wash and all the disadvantages. The disadvantage being in areas that pool, so after you put the wash on, you got to sit there and after a minute or two, take a non-wet brush and pull it out of the areas that pools and stuff. Like here's an area where it pooled here, and you see it kind of ruined the paint job. But yeah, I got mixed feelings on that contrast paint. Don't listen to the hoopla. It's not worth the $8. You can get the same effect with regular paints. So, and one of the problems is you have to prime with white paint before you put the contrast paint on. Well, I guess that's not a problem, but if you don't use Games Workshop primer and you prime with white paint, you're not going to get a highlight out of it. The claim to fame with contrast paints is when you put the base coat on, when you put the paint on, it does the base coat and it does the shadows. That's true, it does do that, but the highlight's not going to show up with a regular white primer. You have to use the Games Workshop $20 white primer, which is essentially white primer mixed with gloss. So you can get the same, that will show up the highlights a little bit. But if you can't afford the $20 primer like most of us, just get like $5 Krylon primer, or $6 or whatever it is, and then put the white primer on, and then just hit it with some gloss coat to make it slippery, and then you'll get a little bit of highlights. But like I said, contrast paints are just for trying to save time. Regular paints and washes overall will do a better job, but I don't think it's worth the $8 a bottle. If they charge like $5 a bottle, I'd probably buy most of them, but at $8, that's too expensive. I can get the same effect just with using regular paint, Army Painter and Army Painter washes, and just doing the highlights myself. But none of this stuff's my best work here, but it's okay for this was most of this was done in one day, except for the furniture, which was done 10 years ago. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I'll show you guys some more of my painted stuff when you get a chance. Have a good evening.